We'll be starting off with this Nigeria newspaper.
Now, this Nigeria this morning, the first story on page 6 says, oil theft. Navy drags rogue vessel to court in 5 counts charge. We have, of course, definitely been seeing a lot of oil theft issues lately. A lot has been dragging them out. And also, we see 2023, Obi hits back at Soludo. We'll definitely be talking about that much later, but that can be found on page 4 of This Nigerian newspaper. Now, in his statement, it says, he is a professor and I am a trader, so he will be able to do things better than I did. I've done my bit as a trader, and now the professor is there, and he will do his own as a professor.
One would think that the fact that they are both working in the same state, have both worked
In the
for
same
the same
state.
state, would help them to have an alliance, but it doesn't look like it.
Well, I mean, Africa will surprise you, I tell you. Then at the bottom of the newspaper, it says, fireworks from Jos, and as APC kicks off campaign, Tinubu slams Atiku, Obi as Lagos lawmaker dies after rally, on page 5 and on page 30. And we'll also see the MDCN chair, Hassan, commissions medical school buildings in Rivers and commends Wike's vision, on page 15 of the newspaper. And finally, at the bottom of the newspaper, we see Catholic Knights condemn joint Muslim ticket and support Khan's position. I think this Muslim ticket is kind of causing a bit of a ruckus this year.
Yeah.
And you know,
Actually,
we've seen
a lot.
a lot.
Because that's sort of what has snowballed into asking Iyorchia Ayu to resign, because they have said, if you're having a Muslim ticket, we want, okay, in some way, maybe it's interrelated. They had, in the last elections, part of why the current APC presidential candidate stepped or was asked to step down the last time was because they're trying to avoid a situation of Muslim ticket. And what a lot of people are asking is, if it wasn't okay in the last election, why is it okay now?
Very true. Anyway, you can read more on that story on page 4 of This Nigerian newspaper. And we see a huge picture of the APC campaign, of course, the flag off in Jos, Nigeria. Turnouts at Jos Township Stadium during the commencement of the All Progressive Congress presidential campaign in Plateau State. According to, we see the pictures of Muhammad Buhari and the APC president Bola Tinubu in a handshake with big smiles. I think that's all the story we can take on This Nigeria this morning.
All right, now let's punch you with the punch. No, we're not in support of violence. On the front page of the Punch newspaper, Tinubu campaign. VIPs hit Plateau with 30 private chartered jets. Tinubu promises to neutralize terrorists, criminals, assures supporters. No election winner will be denied mandate irrespective of party. And this is by Buhari. President gives Tinubu flag. Lagos lawmaker slumps and dies after rally. That was such a sad story. You know, it made the waves last night on social media. Really, really sad to see that update. And we have more here. Ngige hates ASU, responsible for half pay. This is according to the lecturers who have been in and out of the school system because of the strikes that started this year on the 14th of February. Diri Capet's minister for downplaying Bayelsa flood on page 8. The flood is nothing to be joked about. BDC operators kidnap colleague's 8-year-old child in Lagos. This story, I don't understand it, but there are more details of this story on page 5. It just doesn't make sense. BDC operators, why are we to change operators kidnapping their colleague's child? Anyway, the details of that's on page 5 of the Punch. Nigeria's population hits 216 million. Okay. Now at the top of the paper, Soludo's position doesn't reflect Southeast stand, according to Obi. We know that Soludo had, of course, been talking about the fact that Peter Obi will not, he says that Peter Obi will not win the elections, and Peter Obi is only making a clear path to victory for the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate. So, well, Peter Obi says it doesn't reflect Southeast stand. Khan meets Tinubu, Atiku, Obi today on page 8. And 2 more stories here. Court halts Nigeria Air. Minister says project unstoppable on page 17. And the final story this morning, expose criminals on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. IG tells communities. That's all we can take on the Punch. Let's head to southern Africa as we look at the Namibian.
All right, now stories on the Namibian newspaper. We see the first story says victory for jailed ex-member of parliament pleading for release after 23 years behind bars. You can get the details, of course, on page 2 of the newspaper. Now, at the top, we see it says, we only have one queen. That's one of the cities in Namibia speaking. Onganjera Chief says that. We also see cooking oil bows below $100 for 2 liters. Okay, Namibian dollars actually. Now, making strides through art, we see that on page 14 of the newspaper. And if you look below it, we'll see the picture of a woman, and it says, woman accused of faking her death in scam. I would really love to see that story to know why she did that, what the motive for that was. And we can see that on page 2
My mouth is
of
open.
the newspaper. I mean, I've seen people faking their own kidnaps for money, but
The things people would do for money. People would
really?
fake an accident to get insurance. People would fake their debts just so that people would think maybe they've squandered or swindled people of their money, and they want to go off the grid.
And we've also heard in time past of some artists who fake their deaths for
Those ones are for
chasing
stunts.
clouds.
Yes,
But I
publicity
mean,
stunts.
this is
And the name that
interesting.
readily comes to mind is Skibi, the Nigerian artist. Yeah.
Right. All right, and finally, it says PDM IPC on campaign trail for 2024, and that can be seen on page 2 of the Namibian newspaper.
All right, now let's head over to Kenya. Let's take a look at the Daily Nation. On the front page, we can see the photograph of a man. Well, this man, the story here that says, man who owes Kenya 40 billion shillings. The details, in 1993, Cyrus Jirongo was one of the most powerful people in the country. Now, this man went to Post Bank Credit, a state-owned lender, and borrowed a whopping 2.7 billion shillings. That was equivalent to Kenya's budget deficit at the time, and he used 2 parcels of land as collateral. The loans have since ballooned more than 15 times, remaining unpaid, and the government just might have been played. Wow. Anyway, 40 billion shillings, the defaulted loans have ballooned to that amount, and we're wondering if they're going to ever get paid. Security shake-up as crime roars. The welfare of police officers could soon improve as the government steps up efforts to reverse the wave of crime in the country, even as authorities deny that low morale among junior officers is fueling the spike in insecurity. Now, we also have updates on the elections. 4 petitions for the removal of the IEBC. They've been presented to the National Assembly seeking the removal of 4 IEBC commissioners who disowned the August 9th presidential election results, saying the final phase of vote verification was opaque. Court halts voting of Ruto's PS nominees. Budget, Treasury aligning mini budget to Ruto's cuts.